Okay guys, we're going to work with the cutout tool and eventually gradient tool. So this is just a tip just to get you started. Let's say you already have a picture open in GIMP and you want to bring in another picture that you're going to work on. There's two things. When you click on it in the file and you drag it, if you drag it to the picture, it's going to open on top as a layer in that. I'm going to hit Control Z and undo that. If you come back and click on the picture and drag it over into the tool area, it opens up as a completely different file in its own layer. So when you start working with multiple pictures and multiple files, that's a nice trick to be able to open them up. Alright, so we're going to work with the cutout tool. So I'm going to come over to my left side on the tools and I'm going to click the scissor tool and I'm just going to cut this out. And basically what the scissors does is it traces around, helps you trace the object that you're wanting to cut out. So I'm going to go around and notice you can click on the line and drag it to the place where you want it. You can also kind of zoom in. So I'm going to kind of go fast. Just kind of click on those areas and then come back, trace those areas. Alright, shouldn't take too long. Over here. And you need to complete the circle. So I completed the circle. Now I'm going to zoom in by hitting Shift plus. And if you hold the spacebar key and then move your mouse, you can move it, let go of the spacebar key. And see the lines? I can just come here and it'll adjust to those edges. Alright. See how it adjusts to those? It finds them. So I'm going to go around my picture and just kind of smooth it out and make sure it's where I want on my cutout. Alright, I've used my tool and gone all the way around them. I've adjusted it. You can adjust these. Click on the line, just remember. And it's nice to zoom in, hit Shift plus. You can always zoom out by hitting minus. If you hold down the spacebar key and then move your mouse, let go of the spacebar key and move your mouse, you can get around really easy. Alright, so let's say I want to come and move this. I want to zoom in a little bit more to make sure I get it right. Click on that. Alright, just kind of showing you little tips. Use that spacebar tool so that you could follow that line really quick and move around it. Alright, I'm going to zoom out. Control Shift J fits my picture to the screen. And now when I hit enter, it's going to select, turn that into a selection, that scissor tool into a selection. So the next thing I'm going to do, what's selected is the person. So if I hit delete, it's going to delete the person. I'm going to hit Control Z and undo that. I don't want to delete the person. I want to delete the background. So I'm going to hit Control I, which inverts my selection. And you can see the crawling ants around the person, but then it comes around the border and it selects that. Other thing that's always good is to create a duplicate copy, and then I just kind of hide that copy. That's just in case you make mistakes. You always have your original. And so I'm on my duplicate copy. Right now, if I hit delete, I'm going to get a white background, and that's because my background is set to white. If I set my background to black, this is the foreground, that's the background. I'm going to hit Control Z. Now if I hit delete again, I get a background because my background is set to black. And that's because this picture doesn't have a transparent layer. If you want it to be transparent, if you right click and come down to alpha, add alpha channel, notice it has that transparency pattern with the checkered bars. If you click that, now instead of having a background when I hit delete, I'm going to have a transparent background. So if I click on my bottom layer, it opens that up. But just to show you, we wanted to put a transparent layer in there. Now I'm going to come back and fill that with a color. But I don't want to fill it on this picture. I'm going to add a new layer, transparent layer, hit OK. Now my sheet of paper is on top. If I fill this layer with a particular color, I'm going to come to my color tool, color picker, and I'm going to pick that color. I'm going to say OK. If I click on this layer and fill it, on my fill tool, if I fill it, notice it fills this layer. You don't want to do that. I'm going to hit Control Z, undo. You want to put a whole blank sheet of paper underneath. And so I'm going to deselect everything, because you can see my selection. I hit Control Shift A and it deselects, or I could always come to my select and hit none where it says Shift Control A. Alright, so I'm on my layer. I'm going to use that fill tool, and it's on top of them. That's why you want to put the layer on bottom of them, so you can see it like that. Alright? Okay, the next thing I want to do is clean up some of these edges. So I'm going to zoom in, hit Shift plus, and I'm going to go to my eraser tool. And on my eraser tool, you can click on little icons, and you can select, a brush, and that brush basically erases. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and the brush I want is the little soft brush, which is about 0.5. Then I can adjust the size of my brush, and then I can come, and I want to make sure I'm not on the colored layer. I want the picture layer, because I want to remove some of these pictures, but I just want to remove it softly. And you can see how it kind of removes that. So that's a little trick to kind of removing some edges and some parts that you don't want, and it blends in with the background really nice. So I'm going to move over here. I'm just going to go around my picture, just kind of clean it up so it blends in pretty nice. Okay, so I cleaned it up using my eraser tool and the soft brush, and just kind of going around the edges and kind of cleaning up areas that were pixelated and didn't like. Alright, the next thing I want to do is work on the gradient. So I can come back to this layer, and I'm going to change it up, or I could create a new layer if I want. Hit OK. Kind of play with it. When you're making a gradient, I'm going to click on my gradient tool. It says blend tool, and blend means it blends two colors together. So I'm going to click on that. It's on normal mode, and notice it's going to blend the foreground with the background, whatever colors you pick. So let's just say I'm going to pick these colors. Here it's linear, so if you just click in one spot and draw a line and click to another spot, it's going to fill that layer with those blends. See that? So you could use different kinds. So there's a linear. There's also called radial. And you could just, wherever you want to drag it, and the length will kind of affect the amount of blend that you want. So I just want you to be able to cut out a person or an object. I want you to be able to use the gradient tool and the other little tips to kind of design that. All right. Then, of course, you can come in and use your text tool and add text to that.